Hello everyone and welcome to Who Wore It Better, the weekly segment in which I review Raw and Smackdown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. After an impressive showing at Backlash, how would Raw counter and how would Smackdown continue the momentum? Let's find out. Raw beginning on Monday night with a rare women's opening segment. Can't remember the last time that ever happened. But they have Charlotte and Dana Brooke coming out, and then Sasha Banks and Bayley, all cutting very passionate promos at times, but also very awkward promos. Charlotte's promo before Sasha came out was just a big word salad to me. I think she was just kind of talking for the sake of talking. And then Sasha comes out, Bayley comes out. Her promo style was very like, she was supposed to be kind of like, oh gosh, golly gee, but it just came off kind of like shy and stilted and very awkward to me. But be that as it may, it led to Dana Brooke slapping Charlotte, and then it became a triple threat match for the number one contendership for the women's title. I think it would have been nice if Dana actually won that match. It would have been a welcome distraction, in my opinion, from the constant Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley triangle happening. Throwing Dana into the mix at that point and having her actually challenge Charlotte for the title, I think would have been a nice little change of pace. Then, of course, a lot of people were bringing this up, the fact that Sasha's shoulders were down at the same time as Bayley's in the pinning predicament. She didn't do a full proper bridge. So, and the thing with that is that really only matters when the plot dictates it. For the most part, if that ever happens, they're not going to bring it up. And they might bring it up next week. I don't know. It depends on what's going to happen. If Bayley's going to come out and say, hang on, wait a minute. But I think the fact that, they didn't bring it up at all, just to me, it's just kind of lazy booking, or it's just a goof on the part of Sasha for not bridging. Bo Dallas in another squash match, second week in a row. I guess we're supposed to be taking him seriously now, because I guess he's supposed to be built up as a credible threat against Ben Wong in their China show in a few weeks from now. But it's hard to take him seriously when he's still doing the goofy smile and carry around the Bo leave and Bo sign. It seems very counterintuitive, very contradictory to me. But anyway, another win for Bo Dallas. Really cool highlight reel segment with Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn. I wonder if the Seth Rogen comparison that Corey Graves made with Sami Zayn was deliberate or not, because the more I thought about it after he said it, like, wow, Sami Zayn does kind of look like a skinny Seth Rogen. I thought it was very interesting. But anyway, really cool back and forth promo stuff between Jericho and Zayn. Zayn cutting the "You're Chris Jericho" speech. It's very similar to what used to be the "You're Ric Flair" speech, but now it's being applied to Chris Jericho. It's like, I believe it used to be this awesome guy. What happened? And then Chris Jericho hitting Sami Zayn in the head with the phone. The phone didn't break. I was very surprised by that, and that of course is going to lead into what I'm imagining Clash of Champions fight between Jericho and Zayn, which I'm all for. Cesaro versus Sheamus in match 5 of the Best of 7 series. It was reported last week during their UK tour that Cesaro actually did pick up a win, preventing the sweep by Sheamus. So here we are at match 5. They told a really good story. Cesaro's still selling the back. The back's still a crucial point throughout this match. It's probably for the rest of the series too. And Cesaro selling it like a champ. Sheamus attacking it like a champ. It was great stuff. Great story being told. Cesaro cheating a little bit, actually. He used the ropes a little bit to get the pinfall victory on Sheamus. It's okay when the good guy does occasionally, now when he's back into a corner, does occasionally pull into the bag of tricks and pull out the dirty tactics every once in a while. I don't want Cesaro to keep doing that, but I think doing it once in a while in this desperate situation is fine by me. Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox, who according to Jax can be as unpredictable as she wants. This match actually started out a little sloppy at first. I was kind of like worried about where this match was going. But then all of a sudden, Nia Jax just brought the thunder. I thought it was really cool to see her swinging Alicia Fox around by her hair into the barricade. Then she pulled out the OMG moment. She hit triangle after saving up a finisher and ran Alicia Fox into the barricade. I can't remember the last time I ever saw a woman get put through a barricade before. That was pretty cool. It was really cool to see that two of, in my opinion, the most prominent segments and coolest moments of the night on Raw belonged to women's segments. I thought that was pretty awesome. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods of the New Day taking on Anderson and Gallows in a SummerSlam rematch. This match to me was a lot more fun to watch than the SummerSlam match, probably because there was no Jon Stewart and there was no shit finish. So those two things weren't working against them this time around. I love when Xavier Woods gets a little more ring time on the main shows. I think he really is starting to shine now doing those things. The sequence between him and Anderson near the end I thought was really fun to watch. Anderson and Gallows going over on the New Day clean here, which adds a lot of intrigue into their match 2 weeks from now. I wish they didn't have a whole tag team match with almost all the same people, just 2 weeks apart from their tag title match at Clash of Champions and just 2 weeks apart from SummerSlam. To me, it seems a little repetitive. Hopefully they can do something a little different to change things up. But there you go. I did like the fact that before the match, the New Day cut a promo saying, sorry about the old day segment. We're never going to show it again. I thought that was pretty funny. Jinder Mahal, the man who comes in peace. I don't get it, but at least it's something for the guy, taking on Jack Swagger, the real American. I don't think it's a coincidence that they booked this match between the brown guy in a turban and the American guy one day after the 9/11 anniversary. It is important to point out, though, that Jinder Mahal is a Punjabi Sikh, not an Arab Muslim. Big difference between the two. But I think in the world of WWE, they don't care, and they think the fans aren't going to tell the difference, and that's kind of how this match came about. In a surprising fashion, Jinder Mahal, who's no Muhammad Hassan, won with the Regal Cutter. I was really surprised about that. Epico and Enzo in singles competition, a continuation from their tag match last week between the Shining Stars and Enzo and Cass. Epico wins again. This time they recreated the Warrior Rude finish from WrestleMania 5. Epico goes over on Enzo. So I guess what happened last week was not a fluke. I was kind of expecting it to go nowhere, but clearly they're building to something here. So we'll see where this goes. I'm actually kind of interested now. Main event time, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. If Reigns won this match, he'd be inserted into the Universal title match at Clash of Champions, joining Seth Rollins and KO. Before I want to talk about the match, though, I do want to talk about the promo stuff that happened throughout the night. First of all, between Seth Rollins and Mick Foley backstage, and then Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens just before Kevin Owens went out there. The back and forth that Rollins had with each guy I thought was great. Mick Foley still trying to assert his authority in the grand scheme of things. Kevin Owens showing that at the end of the day, as of right now, he still has Seth Rollins' number. So it'd be very interesting to see where this all goes. I love Roman Reigns when he goes against guys whose skill sets are totally different than his. People like AJ Styles and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. I think he really shines in matches like that. And this match was no exception. Of course, Seth Rollins coming out and interfering, attacking Kevin Owens, which Mick Foley specifically warned him not to do. So Foley comes out and tells him, come back here, we're going to have a talk. I wonder, how is Mick Foley going to punish Seth Rollins? Is Seth not going to be able to go to the prom? Both guys kicking out of everything each other had to offer. It was insane. Then, just when I was thinking, boy, I haven't seen Rusev in a while, here he comes back from his Bulgarian wedding to interfere in the match and cost Roman Reigns a shot at the Universal title. Kevin Owens wins due to chicanery, and so now the match still stands. Rollins versus Kevin Owens at Clash of Champions for the Universal title. I'm still not sure who I'm supposed to cheer for here. Who's the face and who's the heel? It's super shades of gray right now. Also, I'm glad Rusev interfered in this. I kind of thought he would because they never really had a clear conclusion to what happened after SummerSlam and ended a big schmoz. So I think them having another match at Clash of Champions for the US title, it feels right. Moving on to SmackDown, AJ Styles opens up the show, heading to the ring with the title around his waist and the John Cena armband on his arm. Really cool visual there. It takes a little bit of time getting used to it, but I like what I see. Anyway, AJ Styles cutting a promo saying he's the champ who runs the camp. Can't wait for that to be made into a shirt. Then John Cena comes back after being gone since SummerSlam, and he cuts a great promo. Then Dean Ambrose comes out, and he cuts a great promo. And then Cena and Ambrose are just lobbing sick burns at each other left and right. It's awesome. The crowd in Philadelphia is chanting for John Cena. Could you ever imagine that in 2016 this is happening? Then Shane McMahon comes out and announces that at No Mercy it's going to be a triple threat match between the three of them for the title. I'm kind of sick of seeing triple threats for the title at this point, and the fact they were teasing it on Raw and they're having it on SmackDown and they just have one at Battleground. I think it's a little overdone at this point, but it's still going to be a really fun match in my opinion. And then of course they announced the main event for later tonight. So yeah, great opening segment. Hype Bros versus the Usos in a rematch from Backlash. Really short match. Just got the Usos over more as heels. There you go. Baron Corbin taking on Apollo Crews. I was really not looking forward to this because like 2 Backlash rematches in a row. Is this going to be just a retread show? Luckily it didn't turn out that way. Baron Corbin just beat up Apollo Crews right away before the bell even rang. Laid him out with the end of days on the outside. Bad look for Apollo Crews, but good look for Baron Corbin. But Corbin was immediately interrupted by Jack Swagger, who is now debuting on SmackDown. They alluded after Swagger's match with Jinder Mahal on Raw that his Raw contract was expiring, so I guess this was the payoff. I didn't even realize Jack Swagger was on Raw to begin with, so him moving to SmackDown, good for him, I guess. I thought it was funny he had a wallet chain. I don't think anyone's going to steal your bus pass, Jack. But then Jack Swagger cuts this bizarre, rambly promo after he interrupts Baron Corbin. I don't know what was going on there, but we're going to have a big problem, man, a big problem. New SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch coming out and thanking the fans in, just like Jack Swagger's promo, very passionate, but also very ramblomatic at times. I don't know if those two are smoking the same stuff in the back or what's going on, but then it led to a fatal 5-way match for the number 1 contendership for the women's title. It was basically the same thing as the 6-pack challenge a couple nights before, except without Becky Lynch and no eliminations, just single fall. But it was a really fun match to watch. I really loved watching it. There was a lot of fun spots going on. Alexa Bliss taking advantage of the boot by Carmella to Nikki Bella, pins Nikki Bella, and wins the number 1 contendership for the women's title. So really cool. I mean, just a couple of nights ago, I was talking about how it was disappointing Alexa Bliss was the first one eliminated in the women's championship match. Now she's the number 1 contender. I really look forward to seeing these two fight more. The Heath Slater contract signing, it's official now, putting a nice little bow on what I said earlier was a really cool, fun, organic feeling mid-card storyline with a really satisfying conclusion. Then as Heath Slater's giving his speech, the Ascension comes out wearing new face paint, and they basically challenge Heath Slater and Rhino for the tag titles right then and there. Leads to a short and sweet match. The Ascension did look good at first until they didn't. They had a doubles team spot that was like a super botch where their timing was off. The crowd turned on them right away. But then, of course, the hot tag, Rhino stomps him, gores him, and that's the end of the match. So Rhino and Slater retain, which means I was totally wrong about my prediction. At the end of my Backlash review, I said that Slater and Rhino were going to lose the titles on Tuesday to the Usos. That didn't happen. It might happen still. I don't know what's going to happen or how much longer Slater and Rhino are going to keep the titles, but I was dead wrong on my prediction, so there you go. Randy Orton comes out, cuts a quick promo calling out Bray Wyatt after the events of Backlash. Bray Wyatt teleports in and then teleports out, and Eric Rowan comes back in and then jumps Randy Orton but eats an RKO. You know, the joke is we always have make fun of the fact, oh, Big Show's a heel one week and a face the next. I want to have a counter. I want people to keep track of the number of times Bray Wyatt has split from and then come back with his followers. Because a few weeks ago he did leave Eric Rowan, and so Bray Wyatt was going solo again, but now I guess they're back on the same page. I don't know what the long-term plan of this is. To me, that part's getting a little confusing to me. One thing that was bugging me in this segment was there's a dead giveaway when they're about to do the Wyatt creepy, flashy montage thing, is that the USA Network logo disappears like a second beforehand. I don't know why it goes away. I don't know why it doesn't just stay up there. I don't know why both logos don't go away. To me, that kind of took me out of it because I knew, oh, Wyatt's going to come out or something's going to happen. Main event time, John Cena and Dean Ambrose taking on AJ Styles and James Ellsworth. I'm sorry, scratch that, The Miz. The Miz actually came out and jumped James Ellsworth from behind, took him out of the match, and became AJ Styles' new tag team partner. Of course, Ellsworth was the very first victim of Braun Strowman after he split from the Wyatts. He was the very first jobber, the guy with no chin. And, you know, honestly, I want James Ellsworth to become this generation's Dwayne Gill. I want to see him out as a jobber who occasionally gets one over, you know, every so often by hook or by crook, usually by accident. I want to see that kind of thing out of James Ellsworth. I think he can get a pretty good following. But The Miz taking out Ellsworth was a really cool progression of whatever's going on between Daniel Bryan and The Miz. The Miz just keeps sticking it to Daniel Bryan over and over again. He defended the IC title at Backlash against Ziggler. He refuses to defend the title anymore until he gets what he wants in his contract negotiations. And then here, Ellsworth was handpicked by Daniel Bryan just to spite AJ Styles, but The Miz throwing that wrench into the works, and so now he's fighting alongside AJ Styles. So yeah, it was really cool what they were doing there. Again, the match was really fun, a really good job telling the story of the lack of cohesion between Ambrose and Cena based on the opening segment bleeding into the main event. I thought it was great. You know, it was a fun match, a little, relatively short main event, but, everyone got their stuff in. It was a lot of fun. Of course, John Cena making a triumphant return, winning the day, beating The Miz at the end of the match, but then, of course, getting jumped by Dean Ambrose at the end, gets hit with dirty deeds, and the crowd who cheered Cena earlier in the night booing Dean Ambrose. What is happening? Cats and dogs living together. It's mass chaos. It's mass hysteria. What's happening? If the Philadelphia crowd has been won over by John Cena and is booing Dean Ambrose, they're doing something right. Now it's time for me to pick a winner for this week, and again, I have to go with SmackDown on this one. I think ultimately both shows, Raw and SmackDown this week, were very strong. I think ultimately the biggest enemy of Raw is time, the fact they go 3 hours. I think that they had a lot of good stuff going for them, but if it were 2 hours long, or if I even watched like the 90-minute Hulu version, I think it actually could have beat SmackDown this week. But again, it's just the 3 hours, it makes it drag. I thought, SmackDown though was very interesting in the fact that it was very promo heavy. For the wrestling show, I thought it was very promo heavy. It was like promo, match, promo, match, promo. That was the pattern. It was just A, B, A, B the whole time. And actually, I think Raw had more matches per promo than SmackDown did. But ultimately, I'm more of a story guy. I don't care so much about the wrestling if there's no story behind it, but I'm a story guy. So all those promos, it didn't hurt my opinion of SmackDown because they all progressed stories and they all made sense. And there was there was good quality control with these promos, I think. And just again, storyline progression, character progression. That is what makes me happy as a wrestling fan. Raw had some of it, but at the same time, again, a lot of unanswered questions. Is Seth Rollins a face or a heel? What's the relationship between Triple H and Kevin Owens? These things were not really addressed this past week on Monday night, and so that kind of hurt it for me. Very strong show in the wrestling category, and there were some strong promos, but ultimately I think SmackDown was a tighter package and it was a better told story, so SmackDown is the one that I'm going with this week. Let me know what you think. Who did you think wore it better this week? Let me know in the comments section, and of course the poll in the upper right corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.